So AOC had this military Twitch outreach. This military Twitch outreach vote, and it failed. And I consider it a little bit weak of an effort. Now, is it a good thing? Yes, I think it's a good thing to try to stop military propaganda. I think that it is also going to more so directly attack the military recruiters rather than actually attack the policy,
the military industrial complex,
which is created by the military industrial complex. I don't think it's a bad thing. I just feel like it's a very latte liberal kind of symbolic thing. So I'm not even going to focus on criticizing her for putting it out. What I am going to focus on is the fact that some of the people on the quote unquote, Dem socialists left. I consider myself a socialist, no Dem in front of it. And so it irritated me when they were trying to prop her up like a sort of ooh, I've been really great on foreign policy, even though she deferred to the caucus leadership when it came to Venezuela, even though she took pictures with pro-coup Bolivian students, even though she has been very non-confrontational with Nancy Pelosi, and when it comes to the military-industrial complex, but didn't really support the sanctions vote that Tulsi was supporting. And I think to try to make AOC as something she's not is what bothers me, because like I said, we need to be careful with that. We've had Obamas, we've had Warrens. When I see people with a big ego, I tend to be like, okay, we gotta make sure we're watching her, we're holding her accountable. And it just felt to me a lot of grandstanding. Like I said, I'm not against it. I don't like the fact.
Can I describe it?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that this issue came up because people were attacking Tulsi Gabbard, saying how is she anti-war if she voted for this. Now, I don't know why she voted for this. I want to ask her. Yeah. I haven't had the chance to ask her yet. I don't think. But
I'd like to hear her side of the story first, because
no vets or people in the military that were representatives voted for it, by the way. Yeah. So people were trying to say, see, she's not progressive because she voted for this. Well, I think that's a false equivalency. That's my whole point.
Well, first of all, let's talk about the actual bill itself, or the amendment itself, excuse me. Let me describe it. You know when you go to a restaurant and you get some bread, fam, and they put bread and butter on the table? But then you whisper to the waiter, say, hey, you got any olive oil balsamic in the back? And they bring out some olive oil and they put some balsamic down with some fresh oregano. They put a little crushed red pepper in there. Mm-hmm. So now instead of just using butter for your bread, you get this awesome olive oil vinegar, balsamic vinegar dip that you dip your bread in. As vegans, we can have that stuff.
Yeah.
That's what the equivalent of this amendment is. It's good, but it's not like the whole big course meal here. It's not what you're judging to buy. It's something small designed to really prop up everything else around it. Yes, it is a positive thing if we want to keep our children away from being brainwashed into thinking that the military is good. And that, first of all, she's just taking away advertisement. She's not actually taking away the programming within the game. If she was really, she'd say, let's get rid of Call of Duty. Let's make sure there's no white helmets in the game. No, she would do that. If that's what she would be opposed, but that's what, that's something that's really, really deep and meaty. Yeah. She's just saying we got to take away some advertisement. You know what I'm saying? It's not a really big, significant bill. Right. So I'll wait until you get into the Tulsi Gabbard point, because before I jump ahead in Tulsi Gabbard and explain, even though her vote was a bad vote, the amendments that she brought up, you're talking about policy with teeth, fam. Right. When you're saying that you have to say and why you have to explain what sanctions do and how they really affect the children. Because if you're so concerned, neoliberals or neoprogressives out there, about the children that are being affected, you should be equally, if not more, caring that AOC took a stand on sanctions in Venezuela, and she didn't.
Right. Exactly. So, again, first of all, let me just say this right here. I don't feel like we have any leftists in Congress. I feel like we have very few progressives, and that can mean a lot of things. I feel like nobody's there when it comes to being anti-imperialist. Nobody. But I do think that Tulsi has definitely far better on foreign policy than AOC has shown. Now, AOC is still young. She's still, she just got there. But in the 2 years she's been there, I haven't really seen it. So
it's like a tightrope game. She's walking that, like, you know what I'm saying, fam? It's like 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me go after this thing when it comes to foreign policy.
But I just want to be clear. I'm not saying that, Tulsi's a leftist. I'm not, because she's never claimed herself to be as a leftist. But foreign policy wise, she has been anti-interventionist in a lot of her legislation. So it also irks me because these are democratic socialist progressives who have never given a damn about the military-industrial complex or foreign policy, and all of a sudden make this about how Tulsi Gabbard sucks and how AOC is so great. And it's like, okay, AOC on some things domestically on the domestic end, but to try to make her like the epitome of justice when it comes to foreign policy, to me it's really just really dishonest. Because let's look at what Niko said. And by the way, for those people that are going to say I'm being biased here for Tulsi, Pasta and I both helped fundraise for AOC all the way from California. I went
to a New York office. I got a shirt.
We were in multiple groups where we were leading the advertisement for AOC. We wanted her to win. We were like her fans. We were like huge fans.
She was our favorite person running to go to Congress by far. When she came here, we were part of the activism group that helped fundraise for the woman.
I have never fundraised for Tulsi Gabbard ever. So, like, people saying, like, now Pasta supported her for the presidency, yeah. But this is nothing to do with me liking her better or worse. This has to do with the policy. So let's look at what Niko pointed out.
Joe Biden's a segregationist.
He changed his little name. He said, I haven't seen AOC's Twitch recruiting legislation. Okay, so he hasn't seen it. I just know she refused to co-sponsor an end to the Syrian war. I just know she's letting Assange be tortured. She hasn't said anything about Assange. I just know she let Manning be tortured by Trump's administration. She didn't say much about Manning. I just know she defers to the caucus.
Which is one of her worst. Deferring to the caucus was really bad.
Right. And so, again, I just want some honesty here. If we're going to hold people accountable, let's hold them accountable across the board, not just because you have to Yas Queen AOC at everything she does.
Queen, I love that.
And this person. So, according to AOC, the military recruiting on Twitch, this is Jackie # Free Assange McCaffrey.
Okay.
The military recruiter on Twitch equals bad. But she didn't vote to allow the American people to see the damage caused by our sanctioning siege warfare, a war crime, in other countries. So AOC thinks it's okay to starve and kill civilians in other countries. Okay, maybe she doesn't think it's okay, but maybe she doesn't know what sanctions mean. I don't know, to be honest, at this point. I really don't know. But sanctions, in case you don't know, are an act of war, okay? Sanctions are an act of war. Sanctions kill. The only fascist state that should be sanctioned at this point might be Israel with the BDS movement, and that wouldn't even be the same type of sanctions we put on other countries. Like, hands down, if you don't know what sanctions are, voting for sanctions or not voting to stop does so much more harm to kids and black and brown people across the world than
children.
Anything on Twitch.
Children, more than anything.
Also, let me just speak out to that really quickly. Kids who play video games, sure, they might see the military recruitment, but why don't we talk about why kids go into the military? They go after kids in schools, working class kids. The military recruits them. Why? Because guess what? They don't want to be in debt for a 4-year degree. They want to have health care. They want to be able to buy a house when they get out. A lot of the reasons why the military is so able to easily recruit is because we don't have Medicare for all. It's because we don't have free public college.
Yep.
And it's also because we have endless wars and endless occupations that we need. So again, we have to attack the root cause. I am so sick of attacking and putting little Band-Aid solutions on all this crap. Like, it's a bunch of Band-Aid solutions. Oh, let's go after the propaganda, but not after the source itself. It's not good enough.
Yeah, I think Steve Poikonen put it out best, Slow News Day. Did I say it right, Johnny? Hell yeah. Love you, Stevie. That they are transferring all the energy from Bernie over to AOC, and they're also transferring over a lack of foreign policy knowledge. You know, we had Mark Slobodka on the show today, and he says it really stinks because nobody votes on foreign policy, and it really is a shame. Because the president has the most power where? Foreign policy. Has little to do with domestic policy. Right now, if you're mad about the way domestic policy is in the United States, you should really be upset with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. Okay, because those are the two most powerful Democrats, and now you got Slow Joe moving along with them. But the whole idea to think that these little moves, and that's why I think it's really, I don't know if it's sinister or methodical or what it is, fam, but even hearing AOC say at a rally in Venice Beach, our foreign policy is our domestic policy, you know what I'm saying? I don't care
Yeah.
if she doesn't know. She's talking the talk. You better walk the walk. This is minuscule. Foreign policy to most of the progressives out there is like the side dish. It really is the whole restaurant. And you guys you haven't grasped that concept. And I know we can have a debate about what it is, but this whole move by AOC, it really ain't nothing hyped. And
well,
the
it
fact,
was sorry,
I
I just want to say it wasn't even foreign policy. It was more so directed to military recruitment. So technically, it's domestic. A little bit in there, kind of inching towards, but not really going after the source.
Our military is across the world, so I mean, but it's part of anything to do with the military and understanding how to go after the military and really go after the military and try to hold them accountable. This is kind of getting ridiculous, even trying to compare AOC to Tulsi Gabbard. I'm not saying it because I'm a Tulsi Gabbard fan, but Tulsi Gabbard's foreign policy is way beyond far better than AOC's, okay? And the fact that Tulsi introduced something about sanctions, and if you really care about children, you'll care about sanctions on this very couch here, fam. When we had Tulsi Gabbard and we
played it
interviewed her,
the other day.
we talked about it with the sanctions. You guys played it the other day.
Yeah.
She said right here, you know what? There's no mechanism. And she was planting a seed, or a seed was planted.
Yeah.
She leaked what she was going to do right there. She presented that to Congress and how big that is. You watch Max Blumenthal, even Mike Gravel will tell you, sanctions are an act of war. They kill people and they mostly kill children.
Right.
Mostly kill children.
And none of the squad, by the way, voted on that. When Tulsi was pushing for that.
And none of them have been vocal about the INF, about pulling out one of the biggest nuclear de-escalation bills of all time, signed by Reagan and Gorbachev, I believe. Okay, this is something serious. You know, Mike Ravello even talked about it with our submarine force alone, which is only about 15% of the nuclear weapons that we have. With our submarine force alone, we can destroy the planet over 17 times.
Right.
And I know it just kind of goes, it was a different when I was growing up. I'm a 47-year-old man. Like I said, at the end of when I was starting to grasp what was going on, there was talks about the Cold War and how dangerous it is. It's not about nuclear war. It's about nuclear holocaust. And it really is. We don't realize the doomsday clock, fam, it's moving closer and closer. And all Tulsi wanted to do was bring an amendment and say, hey, listen, the administration has to explain why they are pulling out of such a vital, crucial agreement. And nothing from the squad, nothing from anybody to get behind this and say, hey, this needs to be done. Donald Trump has to explain. They don't even care. They are not good on foreign policy.
So why I don't agree with Tulsi's vote, I would have voted yes on this one, because I think any propaganda is decrease of propaganda is okay. Jordan listed all these progressive caucus members. Leader Hoyer is a progressive, okay.
Yeah.
And then Tulsi, they're all part of the progressive caucus. Ted Lieu, and all these people, they all voted. They all voted no. Okay.
Adam Schiff also voted no. What did I say though, right below him?
You said, as if this amendment is about seriously changing the status quo of imperialism. Let's not forget that when push came to shove, AOC deferred to the acceptance of regime change and sanctions in Venezuela, sanctions that kill mostly poor people and little children. That's the reality. Okay. And
94 likes. Somebody liked it right there. Thank you. Whoever liked it out there. Was that you, Johnny Sue? Guys, go on there and like that for me there. Oh, somebody else went on there and jumped on there and liked me. We love you and stuff like that.
Okay, so and he said Gabbard is also in the progressive caucus. So he started this whole thing, like kind of like focusing on Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh, before that, look what he put about Gabs. He put something else about Tulsi in there too before that too as well.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Somebody else put, I think, I'm surprised about Tulsi's vote.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Oh, there's Cullen. What did Cullen say, Johnny? I love Cullen. Cullen's the man. If you don't know who Cullen Turin is, you better find out. If you don't know, you know. In reality, AOC is hurting military recruiters, not the policymakers who make the U.S. military do evil things.
Right.
When she's a fucking policymaker, and as Niko has pointed out, soft. AF on Speaker Pelosi, as always.
That's the thing. Like, I can say that I don't agree with Tulsi's vote while simultaneously saying this is grandstanding by AOC, and any point in trying to be like, it's like confirmation bias. Oh, like, okay, so we've never liked Tulsi Gabbard, but we're going to take this other point to, like, bash her again on foreign policy, even though we don't care about foreign policy and never have. But just because AOC is, like, doing something so symbolic, like we're gonna go and we're gonna, yes, queen, oh my god, she's doing so great, when it's just a bunch of fucking symbolism. Like,
Yeah.
I want you to attack, why do we have the AUMF? Like, I want you to go after the source, the sanctions, what the hell, like another bill on Yemen, like what the, like BDS, like all of these things that we're doing, like the money to Israel, the money to Saudi Arabia, like there are so many things you can go after in the Twitch thing. And then, the Twitch thing, it's like, oh, like she keeps her branding with everybody that's young and like thinks she's amazing and stuff. And so it's really, to me, it's just a very showy theatrical thing. And like, while I don't agree with Gabbard's vote, and I think what AOC is doing is superficially okay, like, okay, I'm good with that. Okay, this isn't a bad thing. I just think it's, I think it's just the way they're trying to position it, like, oh, like AOC is so progressive on foreign policy, is just a flat out lie.
They're already trying to make that move. And I just think that really real talk real quick while we wrap up this subject is that, I don't want to bag on AOC to say that she's the worst congressperson out there. She's not by any means. Could she be an ally down the road? Yeah, but to even remotely start thinking that she's worthy of the presidency when she hasn't really even done anything really great. She didn't do anything. Her main purpose to get in there was to break up this establishment, take a team with her, and destroy it. And she didn't do that. She joined it and started calling her Mama Bear. And she's never called out Pelosi. And Pelosi is, once again, is the keeper of the gate of all progressive policies. And that's what we need to be concentrating on. Yeah. And instead, we're still doing this whole thing of trying to reform the party within, and I don't think it can be done, fam.
So really, y'all are bashing kind of like her, the people who idolize AOC.
Yeah, more than anything.
More than anything.
They need to get real and stop pushing her. And David Atkins.
Well, and
he's my choice for 2024.
Yeah, when David Atkins supports you, I gotta think twice about why someone like that is supporting you. To be honest, but I'm just more so going like. I think I think this is a symbolic bill. I think it's just very platitudey. I don't think it goes after the source. I'm not okay with that. But I also don't think it's bad. Like, I don't think there's any harm to it. I don't agree with Gabbard's vote. But overall, I just hate how it was weaponized and used to attack somebody that's actually more progressive than her on foreign policy.
By far.
I'm sorry.
By far.
Like, I disagree with Tulsi on a lot of things. Like, I don't believe in capitalism. I don't believe on the military at all. But I can recognize like where her strengths are, and that to say otherwise is kind of ridiculous.